I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What do you mean, calm it down? It's a fight. Referees telling two fighters who want to fight to calm it down. He should calm down.
So he's like a clown in his show, man. He's not your guy.
Because Tyson Fury's back, and all you motherfuckers are under attack. Look, Eddie Hearn can say all what he likes. Who gives a shit what Eddie Hearn says? It's garbage.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Can you let me retire and be happy? Please, just please.
Bombs away from the Bronx Bomber!
Wanda! Let's go, baby! Let's go! I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit. I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
I got drunk, man. Are you kidding?
No. You won the.
OMG. I am so excited.
Yes. What is up? MCR family. Another semi-weekly, bi-weekly edition of the show live on YouTube, obviously podcast form on all podcast feeds, Spotify, iTunes, all that fun stuff. And actually, a full fucking panel on today's show. Oh my God. Feels good. I've missed two of these guys for like 2 weeks. I haven't seen Foo in forever, probably like 3 months actually. And Rob's been, busy with his quail and shit. So it is what it is. But digressing, guys, we have so much to get to on today's show. Terence Crawford / Bob Arum with a hit list of what Crawford's next opponents could be. And we all know which one out of that list it is going to be, but we're going to get to it. We might touch a little bit on the AJ Fury deal again, though I really don't want to, but it's AJ and Fury, so I guess we have to. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano is not happening anymore. We're going to dive into that from Serrano's manager, Jordan Maldonado, and his perspective, and also from Lou DiBella and others in everyone's perspective here when it comes to why this fight is not happening. Plus a lot of other stuff. Estrada Gonzalez, a.k.a. Chocolatito. That fight's not looking like it's happening next due to money. A lot to get to on today's show, guys. Jared Miller's back, so we got to talk about Big Baby. And, well, I don't think it's that controversial, and I know I'm going to get heat for it. But digressing, a lot to get to. So let's get into it, guys. Let's go out to the UK, the one and only Mr. Robbie Hearns, second cousin, twice removed of Sir Eddie. Rob, how are you, man?
Yeah, doing good. Glad to have everybody on the panel. Gary, I got to say, you would have finally got it out of the way. I think probably Pulev would be in the ring now and Joshua would be making his way. Big entrance. And we would have got one of these out of the way by now. It should have been Joshua Pulev tonight. But, coronavirus. I know you guys had, I think, record numbers of cases yesterday, the high of 33,000, but it's disappearing, apparently. It's just disappearing. So shout out. But hit that thumbs up, share the show, and let's get into it.
Let's go out to Dallas. Actually, two of our hosts in Dallas area. Let's go out to Gary first. Gary, what's up, man?
I was disappointed about that Taylor Serrano fight because I was going to be right about that. I picked Serrano. I think Foo picked Serrano too, right? I was going to be right about that, and now I have to wait, and maybe I won't get a chance to be right at all. It's awful altogether. Do you think they're going to negotiate? I don't know. I guess we'll talk about that. But it's good to be back. Should be a fun show today, and we got the Foo. I don't even know what we owe the occasion to. It's good to have you back, buddy.
Foogatti.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I had to wait until my beard grew back. Couldn't do any shows until my beard grew back.
That's probably true.
People wouldn't accept me any longer as a clean shaven man. No, it's good to be back. Seems like we got a lot of news. I'll be real with you guys. I haven't looked at any of it, so we're gonna be shooting from the hip here today, which is kind of normal for me. So let's just go.
It's the normal quarantine show now. I feel like I rarely pay attention to the news cycle as much as I used to. It's like Rob is keeping me updated on everything. I'll be honest. That Robin, actually, Gary's been doing a lot too.
Amateur.
Well, plus Twitter used to be how I kept up, and they've kicked me off of their platform.
yeah.
So
My bad.
Maybe when you come back, you can speak civil to people. You know,
It's funny. It's
No.
it's so funny that you can be called all kinds of names by extremely right-wing people who have no idea, like that not letting people own property or have good jobs or anything for 400 years like puts them behind, and then you call them an ignorant asshole, and then you get kicked off Twitter for like 4 days. Like,
dude, you can't piss off the Twitter gods. We know what happens. They own everything. It's like Amazon. You can't piss them off. You just have to accept our lot in life now.
Mixed Combat Radio's Katie Hopkins over here, just without the opinions, I guess.
Yeah.
Drew, turn to the side. You got like funky headphones, man. They change color and shit.
oh yeah.
Yeah, dude, comparing to Katie Hopkins,
They're better than Matt's LED lights.
Don't make me turn off all my white lights right now. Don't make me do this, Rob. Okay, I will do it live on the air right now.
By the way, this wider shot is showing all the junk in my fucking room right now.
That's not my fault. You don't clean up after yourself, Robert. I'm not your mother. But digressing, let's get to boxing news.
Now my fucking lights in shot. Let me forget the bag hanging on there and the rolled up rug.
The rolled up rug is a nice touch.
Cheers, everybody. Anyway, let's get on.
Rob's in prime mode for this show, guys. I'm so excited to talk about all these topics. First, let's
get to Serrano first.
You want to get to that first?
No, do what you want to do. I'm joking. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Let's get to the Crawford story, because that was a few days old, and we could have talked about that in the last show, but we just didn't for the sake of time. Bob Arum was with TalkSport and talked about who Terence Crawford could be fighting next. He named Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, Udonis Ugas, and Kell Brook. Guys, can someone please be optimistic here and tell me why it's going to be one of the actually like top 10 welterweight names instead of Kell Brook, or are we just going to get Kell Brook? Who wants to jump on this one?
I want to be optimistic.
Oh, you don't, Gary.
It's going to be Ugas.
I knew you fanboy.
I think it's going to be. I think they're going to try to work on with the other side of the street, and they'll be willing to offer him Ugas. Right? They're going to try to save Porter. They're big four. I guess it's big five. Porter, Thurman, Spence, all those guys, and they'll say, okay, you can fight Ugas, right? I think Ugas is gonna get a hefty payday, which he deserves, and it's gonna be with Crawford, and it'll be a good omen. Like they're working together. So if we can get an Ugas fight, why can't we get a Spence fight? You know what I'm saying? I think it's gonna be Ugas. I really do. Now it's probably gonna be Brook, and I'll be wrong, but right now my gut's telling me it's gonna be Ugas. We're gonna have Crawford versus Ugas as a token of look, we're working together.
I will say that Ugas is, I think, the number 2 option of all the names listed. That is the most likely. Rob, laughing number 2, you immature fucking child.
I don't even know, what did I say?
No, I said number 2, and child. Okay,
Matt just without saying it said Ugas is shit.
That's a lie.
It's not that Ugas is shit. I think Ugas would tear apart Kell Brook right now in a fight.
Fuck out of here.
I believe that.
Ugas beats Brook? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. The problem is that I don't think we're going to get a PBC top rank fight of even that magnitude in the middle of this. What's happening right now in front of us with the pandemic? What's been happening with top rank in the cards as of late? I don't see somehow us getting the fight that we kind of wanted as the step to a Spence Crawford fight.
Oh, you don't?
That's just unlikely to me.
You don't like the top rank cards, Matt? Then there's something wrong with you. You don't think these are good cards?
These are the greatest cards.
Did y'all see who Nevret's fighting?
No, is it like 13 and 13 or something?
That dog don't hunt. He's fighting a club fighter. He's fighting a 13 or 13 guy. He's a world champion.
That's so bad. Foo, Rob, I mean, you guys think it's going to be Kell Brook? You think it's going to be Ugas? I mean, you guys think it's going to be Manny Pacquiao? I mean, what?
I think if they're smart, it's Kell Brook. Not because it's a great fight, obviously, but because it's a good name. And Crawford has struggled to really build his brand, I guess. As good a fighter as he is, he's never really been able to like put asses in the seat, on the show. Like, he can't sell pay-per-views. Like, he's really struggled there. He, for a long time, I think, lacked a lot of personality or was kind of unafraid to be himself, on social media or in interviews. So I think if you get a good Kell Brook fight, you get him talking some shit like what's going on with Spence, build it up a little bit, then maybe he can show that he's an equal on the money side, or at least can bring something to the money side and get some of the PBC fighters to take him.
So you actually advised Crawford to take a Kell Brook fight over a Ugas fight over. I was just going to say Ugas because Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, Manny Pacquiao, I think we would all agree we prefer those names over Kell Brook, but those names are so unlikely. Ugas is at least somewhat realistic in terms of a logical perspective. You would advise Crawford take a Kell Brook fight over Ugas due to the name value, due to the common opponent factor with Earl Spence.
Yep. I would advise him to do what's best for him in the business sense. And an Ugas fight, let's be real, is going to be a tough fight. Ugas is a tough out for anybody, what he gave Porter, like a hell of a fight. So not that Crawford wouldn't win that. It's just how good would he look winning that? Would he put on a good enough display that it puts him in the position of, taking one of the other fights with people really thinking he'd come out as, that maybe a solid 50-50. I don't know. I think that you take the Kell Brook fight. It's obviously Brook's an easier out. He's still a great boxer as far as skill and stuff, but he's older. He's been beat up a bit. So I think that Crawford could take that fight, really shine, really put some, momentum behind his name, and then use that as leverage to get some of those other fights. It's kind of how I feel about it. Not that I like the fight, just I think business-wise.
I understand the logic. I understand the perspective. I will say, for the record, Crawford, I think, was in an interview today. I know that the articles on Boxing Scene talking about how he thinks the Kell Brook fight can't happen due to travel bans, but I think he's just a little bit uninformed when he said that, because there's no real travel bans right now that I know of from the U.S. perspective. Maybe from the U.K. they're not allowing Kell Brook to go over, but from the U.S. side, there's no real restriction on Kell Brook getting into the country. So I think Crawford's just a little bit uninformed when he said that. That's all.
Go ahead. Sorry,
Crawford doesn't want to fight behind closed doors, or if he does, he wants paying in full or more. That he said. So that's that. I mean, but
you think that's more of an issue instead of the travel ban? You just said travel ban.
Yeah. He, due to coronavirus, and basically his stance on coronavirus is I will fight behind closed doors, but you got to pay me more. So I don't think, judging by the purses I've seen for a lot of these fights, been on the top rank cards, I don't think Bud's getting more than he usually gets. Let's put it that way. So, but for me, out of all of those, scratch off Porter. He said it isn't the right time for this fight. Scratch off Thurman. He's
192 pounds.
Yeah, and I just don't see that fight. And for me, if you're gonna fight either Ugas or Brook, you fight Brook. Brook's a much bigger name. More people know who Brook is, I think. I don't know necessarily stateside, but he's obviously been over there and beat Porter. I know a lot of people think Ugas beat Porter, but I don't know how many people tuned in for that one. Maybe it did good numbers or something. I don't know, but I don't think Ugas is that name, whereas Brook is. And Brook wants it a title fight, so he wants to do 147 again. That's on his way out, the final lap of his career, I guess he will try and suck down to 147, and it'll be for the title, and he wants to try and do that. But I think it's an opportunity as well to say, Spence, it took you 11 rounds or whatever. Let's if Crawford could do it quicker. I know people then, but Spence broke him down, and he's not the same guy, and blah 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 blah. But I think there's more of a story there if it's Brook. And like I said, we've been going to get this Brook fight for the longest time.
I think even though Gary said it's going to be Ugas, he did fall back on saying that it's probably going to be Kilbrook. I think Gary says something to that effect. So do we see a Crawford-Kilbrook fight in this climate? Let's say they can pay Crawford whatever he's looking for to get paid with no fans or limited fans, right? I know they keep talking about Las Vegas, the Raider Stadium with Lomachenko, Lopez, and doing 10,000 people in a 60,000 seater. Like they're trying to obviously theorize or come up with ideas to get some sort of attendance and gate revenue. Let's say they figure that equation, that part out. Okay, do we see a Crawford-Kilbrook fight being pay-per-view in this current market?
Yep.
Even with ESPN's ratings being so atrocious,
we're not going to see any good fights right now. I don't think we're going to see any top names. The numbers are too low. Like realistically, Crawford's going to fight someone like Navarrete, right? Who's probably going to be just a no-name, keep busy fight, and they'll pay him really well, but his opponent's going to get nothing, and that's how they're going to get these guys back in the ring. There's no way with 300,000 viewers or whatever, with no other sports. Let's be real. Like there's no other sports on TV.
Foo, come on, let's not be obtuse here. Let's not compare Joshua Greer's.
I understand that. Yeah.
Terence Crawford's been doing above average NBA numbers on ESPN for quite some time.
Let's say 1 million.
No, he has. He has been.
Yeah. No, I know.
He's been doing above 1.5 million on average consistently throughout his reign on ESPN. ESPN would desperately want those numbers right now.
Sure. Yeah.
Because even those paltry top rank numbers we keep talking about, and we're going to talk about them later, those numbers are still the highest ESPN rating of the day. Like that's indicative of where ESPN's at right now and how much they're hurting, and how maybe on ESPN's perspective, they might not want this fight on a pay-per-view. They might want something to support the network, provide some viewership, because the network is sort of failing at this point in time. Even ESPN, the behemoth that it is falling apart right now in terms of viewership. So,
but do you think like the 1.5 million would be enough without a crowd and gate and
That's
site fee and all that stuff? I mean,
enough to what and to who?
To pay Crawford enough to put him in with a good name.
You're talking about 1.5 viewership or 1.5 million?
1.5 million viewers. Like if you put 1.5 million viewers on TV, no gate, no one in the seats, no site fees, is it enough to put him in with Kilbrook and get them both the money that they want and have other fights on the card?
He's asking, is 1.5 million worth it for ESPN to pay out big bucks?
I don't know if it is. Here's the thing. I don't know if it would be even, a pre-pandemic with gate revenue, with site fee. I don't even know if they come back and they make money on a Terence Crawford, José Lopez fight or something like that. I just don't think they would come back and make money on even those types of fights, right? Because Crawford's going to get paid $2 million guaranteed, another $1 million, another $2 million behind. If you're getting a good ranked guy in here, you're going to pay him probably at least high six figures. And if you're getting Kilbrook in here, he's getting at least 2 to 3, 4 million. Let's just be honest about it. He's looking for a big paycheck too. It's a big title fight. So I don't think they're going to make their money back or break even per se, but that doesn't necessarily matter, because what you're just doing is trying to stop the bleeding. Okay, that is, your advertisers probably going, what the fuck is happening to all this money that we're putting in to this network now that's not getting a return on the investment? That's what I think ESPN's worried about, that there are advertisers that pay all this money to be on ESPN because they get live sports coverage. That's no longer there. And I think that's maybe more of a concern, that there's a trickle-down effect in terms of them not really worried about them making money on this event, X's and O's, from this perspective, but they just want their advertisers to be happy so they can make money on this field and this perspective. That's how I think it.
I agree with that. I mean, it's probably not worth it for ESPN to do it, just in terms of, am I going to make my money back? No, but you have to show the advertisers something, right? I mean, everyone's losing money in this atmosphere right now. Everyone, right? So, I mean, okay, you got to take a loss on this, but I have to give my advertisers something so they keep, ESPN's ratings have, ESPN is pretty awful, right? And their ratings have reflected that. And now they don't have live sports, right? So it's like, okay, the ESPN basketball crew is pretty good, right? Van Gundy and Mark Jackson and all those guys. But the coverage, like, the First Take is awful. Sports Center is now awful. All that stuff is awful. So the only thing you have is the live sports, and they don't have that now. So, I mean, they need something.
Yeah. And I think it's, again, indicative of what you just said, that ESPN's best viewership this last 2 weeks has been these boxing cards that we've been sort of mocking because the viewership has been so bad. They're still the best viewership of the day for ESPN. I mean,
I know.
Imagine what that boardroom is like right now with all those executives and how they are just scrambling for something. A Crawford Kell-Brook fight isn't really something that's going to save ESPN's viewership per se, but it's going to look nice that day. I'll say that. They can go back and say, hey, look, we were able to do a peak of 2.5 million, 3 million with this fight on ESPN. That'll look great. That will. So I see that being more of a trade-off, to be honest. But guys, any other thoughts on Terence Crawford, what's next for him, and how most likely we're not going to get any good fights from
just him? Around the circle, around the horn here. Does everyone else think it's going to be Brook? Like, if you had to put your money on someone, you'd all put Brook?
It's either going to be Kell-Brook or a name like Foogatti said, of like, it's going to be a club-level fighter that's not going to get paid, and that's how they're going to be able to pay Crawford, either what he's asking for or more than what he's asking for, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you just got to make the smart play if you're Crawford, and Brook is a smart play. You want the most name recognition you can get.
I would be surprised if we don't see Brook fighting this year at all. Crawford.
Yeah.
Right.
Look, if he doesn't fight this entire year and combined with his last year of 2019, what a momentum killer of a pound-for-pound talent star. Because he was on a run at 135, 140, and then 147 has just been.
I guess things are moving so quickly as far as things opening up. I'm sure somewhere soon is going to have a fucking full stadium in America with shit happening. So maybe it will, but
it'll be Texas, dude. We are unrelenting here.
Let me ask this question, right? Just put it out there because it is pandemic talk, right? If he fought Porter, would everyone here still pick Crawford? Like, I think I'd
no.
No, you'd pick Porter?
I'd pick Porter.
Okay.
Easily.
Easily?
I don't think Crawford's look that good at 147. Here's what I'll say is, like, Porter is going to do to Crawford what you would need to do to beat him. He's going to smother him. He's going to bully him. And he's going to have the size and the power to back him up and to get him where he wants him.
Let me add this. Sean Porter's added a lot of technical acumen in the last 3 years or so, and he's really improved his game and improved all the rough edges. Yeah. Sean Porter might be the guy that he could go on that like late career run and take over the division.
I would
that could be possible.
Pick Bud. Bud is he does so many things. I think he figured out a way to do it. But I would say if Crawford fights Porter the way he fought the Mean Machine, he'd lose, right? I mean, if he just stands in there and stands in toe to toe and trades with them, Porter have a field day with them. So he can't fight like he did, right? But I still think Crawford does enough that he can eke out a decision. Like
I pick 3 names against Crawford right now: Earl Spence, Manny Pacquiao, and Sean Porter.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I was going to say I think Pacquiao could take him.
Gun to my head, if they fought right now in a big fight, I'm picking those 3 guys over Crawford.
What I will say, Gary, is if he did take a Sean Porter fight and came out of that the victor, like not even by stoppage, but just a dominant boxing display, wins hands down, that would make me much more of a believer in Crawford at 147.
He's not dominating Porter, right? I mean, no. Porter is a tough out for anyone. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, no one that has beaten him has dominated. It's always been a fight or an ugly fight, He
knows how to make fights ugly,
Crawford's one of those guys, like the talent's clearly there, but he just hasn't fought the right opposition for us to see it in this division.
I would be picking Crawford over Porter. Not like you say, not convincingly, but I'll stick with a pound for pound fight.
And again, I have no issue with anyone picking Crawford against the 3 names I just mentioned. You can say that, you can have that opinion. I'm not going to really fight you on that. I just think that the idea of Crawford being able to beat all these guys is not a foregone conclusion like it was when he was coming up. We all thought he could just come in here and destroy the division, and I don't think that's really the case anymore. Moving on, though, because we do have to move on for the sake of time.
Just quickly, people have got picking up on you saying Pac beats him.
Yeah. Pac beats him.
Pac got roughed up by Jeff Horn. Bud dominated Jeff Horn. I know we don't do the sort of triangular theory, but I'm just saying.
True. Absolutely. No, that's that. You can have that argument. I just think that it's like one of those arguments where, like, yeah, but then Pac out. What did he do after that Jeff Horn loss?
And the Jeff Horn thing was stylistically, well, Horn was just too physically strong. Like maybe you could say Porter does that to him, but Terence Crawford's not going to do to Pacquiao what Horn did to him. This is a totally different fight.
I agree that Porter is like the worst style matchup for Manny Pacquiao. But then again, Sean Porter, like I think Fu and Gary said, like that, his ability to rough up people on the inside, bully people, it is a unique talent in this division, and he can really beat up a lot of guys. And like I've said, because he's cleaned up a lot of his boxing ability, has allowed him to beat some of those top level guys like a Danny Garcia. You know, and I think for a lot of people, not a majority, but a lot of people thought he beat Earl Spence. It's because he cleaned up his technical ability as well. But moving on, because we do have to move on, and I know Rob wants to talk about this topic. Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, or I should say Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano, the epic super fight in the women's divisions that was, I think we're all excited for, is not happening anymore. This first came out in a press release from obviously Jordan Maldonado, a.k.a. Amanda Serrano's manager. And
Pinocchio.
No, relax, Rob. We're already blocked. You can't do anything more to us. It's okay. I'm going to read just a few quotes from this, and then we can move on to some other quotes I want to read. This from Jordan Maldonado, again, Amanda Serrano's manager and trainer. On 4 occasions, Amanda has signed on for the fight. She signed to fight in late 2019 in New York, but Taylor opted to move up in weight. Then we accepted the fight for early 2020 in the same city, but Taylor's team thought they needed more time to train. It was to move to May 2nd in England. But then a month and a half later, the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and it was moved to the 4th of July. All this accepting a purse not up to par with the magnitude of the fight. But since Amanda wants to make history for Puerto Rico, we happily accepted. Now they're offering us the fight for August. We're removing almost 50% of Amanda's purse. However, they are taking less from Taylor, blah, 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 blah. It gets more and more into this. Chris Mannix said Lou DiBella, who promotes Amanda Serrano, tells Sports Illustrated there was no request for a 50% cut. Says Eddie Hearn came to him, typo there, came to him about Amanda taking a pay cut, but Serrano's team declined before they even got to talk numbers. He also says that my understanding is that the package for Serrano would still be well over $200,000 to fight Taylor. We can talk about that in a second because I do want to talk about that. Lou DiBella came out in response to someone on Twitter saying that this was DAZN and Lou DiBella throwing Amanda Serrano under the bus. He responded, I threw no one under the bus. Amanda had a deal. We accepted. She got training expenses and started getting ready. COVID-19 caused postponement. She wasn't asked to take a reduction. She kept training. The rescheduled date also was wrecked by a pandemic. Recently, Eddie asked if Team Serrano would take a pay cut to fight Kay Taylor in August. Literally in Amanda's promoter's backyard. I spoke to Team Serrano, and we agreed that Eddie's backyard for a pay cut in front of no audience was not how Amanda wanted to fight. The biggest fight of her life and one of the biggest fights in the history of women's boxing. Blah, 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 blah. So basically, there is some argument here about the pay cut and whether or not it was asked, blah, blah, blah. Again, I think Rob has a lot of thoughts about how this is and how Jordan's maybe not the most honest character here. I do, though, want to talk about how the payment or the original purse for Amanda Serrano was $200,000 or above $200,000 for this fight. I do think we should touch on that, whether that is enough for this level of fight. But first, guys, thoughts on the alleged reduction in purse that was asked by Eddie Hearn that's been refuted by Lou DiBella. Rob, I know you want to jump on this, so your thoughts.
Well, no, just as usual, Jordan putting out stuff that now her, co-promoter or whatever has said we didn't even get to talking figures. I was just put it to her that would she consider a pay cut? There wasn't, and she said no. So there wasn't even a figure. There was no percentage or whatever mentioned. It didn't get as far as talking about the money because so Jordan being Jordan's put it out there that this is 50% decrease, and they're not taking that much off Taylor. And it's we've been through this. We've been hearing stuff from the social media manager of Amanda Serrano. Anyone out there thinking they're talking to Amanda? You're not. It's Jordan, her manager. And if you bring up anything that might contradict anything they've said before, you probably won't be able to follow Amanda Serrano anymore.
You mean Jordan? That's okay.
Well, yeah, air quotes, Jordan, Amanda, whatever. But yeah, look, we've been here before. There's been numerous times that this fight has been close to done, and then there was the whole when Lou signed the deal. Then Amanda said, and she was happy with everything. I'm getting this from DAZN. I'm getting that. And then, wait up, I think I could probably get some more for this. And then Lou can't sign a contract on my behalf. And Lou's like, yes, I can. I've got, I have the rights to, I do the deals on your behalf. That's it, And then it was another time. Then it's like was going to fight, and then but no, I'm going to fight this Combatants Americas fight. And now it turns out apparently she's got a TV appearance on like Telemundo or something coming up, where it's like I guess like a gladiators type thing or
like American Gladiators, like the show,
that kind of thing. But
okay.
Wherever it would be, I wish she Puerto Rican or wherever it would be. Anyway, Telemundo. So I don't know. Look, I've got no problem with saying no. I don't want to fight in Eddie's backyard. I want the money. I want the fans. I want supporters there. I want this, that, and the other. That's fine, but just don't. The blame game. It's this. I was then offered 50% less. I just be upfront with it, just like Lou's come out and said it. Like we were offered the fight, yes, asked about a decrease, we said no. That's it. That's all it needs to be.
There's no way that Jordan and Lou get along.
No, they don't. No. I can tell you they don't.
I know they don't. You know me. We have the same sources. We know. Foo, your thoughts on this? And again, I do want to cover whether or not that payment was even pre-pandemic enough for this level of a fight. I do want to touch on that because I think that's worthy of discussion.
I think this is just a moment where obviously Serrano is trying to get the most out of the moment, and she's not going to get it in the pandemic. They understand that. I think they're going to probably like blow these negotiations up and push this fight back as far as they can, probably into next year or when, it could be more lucrative for everyone, So I think ultimately they saw an option to get out of this and not have to take this fight during a time when they couldn't make the money. So they're going to make a big deal about it.
Gary, your thoughts?
Correct, Foo. Well done.
I wouldn't take the fight at a discount either. Not this fight. You know what I'm saying? Like if they said the same thing like Crawford and Spence, or pick the two male fighters, right, who'd make a big fight, and they said, "Well, we want you to do it for 50%." No, when that opportunity comes, I'm cashing in on. So I'm not taking it for a discount.
Or not even 50%. If they just come to you and say, "Hey, we wanted to pay you less than what you thought you were going to get for this fight," you would just instantly go, "No,
nope, I'm good." Yeah, but it's rough, right? Because now they're going to have to go fight some. It's not like we were talking about Crawford. Crawford can go fight a bum and get a 7-figure payday. The women can't, right? So it's like I would still say no, but it's a lot tougher for them to say no than it is for Crawford to say no. I do think we'll get this fight because both fighters seem to want the fight. So I think once we're past this, next year probably, I do think we'll get the fight. But I don't blame either lady for not taking the fight for her.
You've got to remember the plan though. This was supposed to be Serrano next, and then Cecilia Breakhouse. Breakhouse isn't getting any younger. Neither's Katie Taylor. So this whole fucking around with Amanda Serrano, if it keeps dragging on and dragging on, I don't know. Then suddenly Breakhouse is a year older or whatever.
No, Taylor can just go to brackets if she wants to.
Oh yeah. I'm just saying. I'm saying if we can't get this done, then just fucking scrap it. Just move on.
Yeah, I think that's what that's where we're at. I want to say.
Yeah.
And you're right. Brackets isn't getting any younger, but she's not going to lose in the interim. So I mean, she might be less competitive with Katie Taylor, but there's not going to be any less appeal in the fight because she's still going to be an undefeated champion.
Undisputed champion as well.
Undisputed champion. Yeah.
I think we're all sort of in agreement on Amanda Serrano and her team, in essence, rejecting the deal and any sort of reduction of her purse because that it just shouldn't be. This is a big fight. No one should take a reduction in purse, especially when you have to, in essence, risk yourself and those around you with a pandemic to have this fight. Hazard pay kind of maybe should go into it. But guys, thoughts on the deal in terms of the money without the pandemic? $200,000 or above $200,000 for Amanda Serrano. I'm going to assume that Katie Taylor had a respective similar purse amount for this fight. I would assume this is a near 50-50 deal to make this fight happen. Maybe that might be wrong of me to admit to assume that, but that's what I'm assuming. Do you think either fighter here in this fight deserved that little for this big of a fight? We were just talking about Ryan Garcia and his big falling out with Golden Boy because he was only going to get paid $200,000 to fight some guy on July 4th. We have one of the biggest women's fights you can make right now in boxing, and honestly one of the better fights period you can make right now in boxing, in my opinion. And they're getting prospect level money, if we want to be honest here, in terms of like a Ryan Garcia, in terms of a Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson. They're all making way more than these women who have far more accolades and achievements than anyone else we can talk about when we bring up money. Katie Taylor, for fuck's sake, is an undisputed champion at 135. We don't talk about that enough, that she's undisputed in a division. And at lightweight, one of the most historic divisions in any a boxing form, whether it's women's or men. So, guys, thoughts on the purse period, regardless or irregardless of the pandemic? I don't know who wants to jump in on this.
It seems light, doesn't it? I mean, $200,000 in today's market, pandemic or not, that seems light. Like Josh Greer got that to fight Planea. You can't tell me that those ratings are going to be as high. You know what I'm saying? Those ratings would be higher than this if they were on ESPN. They'd get more than 300,000 viewers. They would, right? So it's like, that seems light to me. I know you could probably go through fights years ago where, okay, that's what they got paid, but that's not the market we're in anymore. Like, fighters get paid more than that. That seems real light to me.
Agreed.
Here's like I was trying to look at like what Serrano made against Hardy, because that was another pretty big fight, for women in boxing. And she said, you don't go and fight someone like Amanda Serrano for pennies. But then she says, I'm not making six figures if that's what you're asking. So
Heather Hardy said that, right?
Yeah, Heather Hardy didn't even make a six-figure paycheck for fighting Serrano. So, women's pay in boxing is it's abysmal. Like, I understand, like, from a business point of view, you got to look at viewership and what it brings in. But I also think that in every major breakthrough in sports, like, they're going to have to put money behind it and attract more talent, even if they're putting more money behind it at a loss to attract more people, because the arguments that people try to have is there's not enough depth. So you can't give Katie Taylor this crown because there's no depth in the sport. You can't give them money because there's no viewership. But you put money behind it. You put them on big cards where there is viewership. You stack them in places where they're going to get a lot of eyes. You give them 3-minute rounds. You give them 12-round fights for championship fights. You do everything to treat them as every bit equal. And you're going to take a loss, but it's like when they brought, Ernie Banks into baseball, like they did that knowing it was going to be this issue that they were going to have. Jackie Robinson. I'm sorry, man. Yeah. Jackie Robinson. My fault. Sorry. So when they brought Jackie Robinson in, they knew it was going to cause all these issues. They knew that it was going to be a struggle for everyone. But they did it knowing that what would come of it would be the bigger thing that they wanted to achieve, which was to break that barrier. And so ultimately at some point, promoters are going to have to decide if they're going to lose to create, if they're really like Lou and these guys are really talking about like building and establishing women's boxing as something great. Like there's going to be a point where they're going to have to lose for a while to get that payoff in the end.
I will say this though, to kind of, I echo a lot of what you say, Fu, and we've talked about this, ad nauseum at this point, especially when you on it seems, because you're a big fan of women's boxing as well. But like, I think Gary said this, like, I think what Joshua Greer got paid $200,000 to fight on a card that 300,000 people watched on ESPN that no one cared about, that like no good fight was on. You can't tell me that Serrano Taylor doesn't bring in more fans, more money, more anything than that. So I see some people in the chat, and I think they're not saying this as in like being malicious. They're just pointing out like this is what the industry views it as, and I think they're right in that sense, that the industry perceives women to not be as valuable when it comes to main event slots, to certain big fights. They don't perceive them to be able to generate revenue. But we know that just from pure metrics, we do know actually, if they just got their heads out their ass at ESPN or DAZN or whatever network we're talking about, if they got their heads out their ass, they can see the pure stats that Serrano and Taylor bring in more business than a lot of other fighters that get paid on par with them or more than them. So even that argument can't be used as much. Yeah, they don't bring in enough money, but promoters, networks, you guys are gonna have to just foot the bill a little bit. No, like you guys don't have to. They do bring in money. They do generate revenue. You just are like as old executives in a network that is archaic, or even DAZN's execs, like John Skipper. He's an archaic guy from the old form of ESPN. He's not thinking progressively when it comes to how do we generate this into a full-on industry and make revenue from it, because we can. They automatically perceive it that we can't generate revenue from them. And that's automatically wrong. I just want to point that out briefly.
Well, and in addition to that, as a salesperson, right, that's what I do. I'm in sales, So if I have two products and I present one as being 100%, or even worse than that, 400, 500% less worth your time or your money, and then try to go to my boss and say, no one wants this other product, so that's why we have to sell it for so cheap. Of course, that's what would happen. When you treat one product as so inferior, you're going to get that response from the fans, because you've been told by every promoter, every, male boxer, every person that commentates and talks about boxing, that women can't fight 3-minute rounds. It's too hard on them. Their brains take more damage, and all these fucking ridiculous arguments, and then even have a big proponent of boxing for women like Lou DiBella come and tell us on our Twitter that no, it's absolutely true. Women do take more punishment and all this stuff. It's yeah, because they fight 2-minute rounds and they go the distance every single fight. If they fought 3-minute rounds and there were stoppages from things, like maybe at some point they would only fight a 3-round fight and they wouldn't take 10 rounds of punishment. You know, like, who knows? Like, we're not giving anyone a chance to experience women's boxing in the way that it should be, or women a chance to really shine in a sport. Like, we're just saying, hey, you guys can play here. You can fight, ladies. Just, yeah, we'll throw you on a card somewhere, you know? And it's just, to me, disgusting that all the arguments that are used, like, if Greer got $200,000 for that shit card with that shit viewership
that he lost,
like, if we can't pay Amanda Serrano $1 million to take a fight against Katie Taylor, two top, like, easily top 5 women boxers, we've got problems. Like, there's a problem with that. So,
very quick. Taylor versus Cindy Serrano. I was trying to find purses. Katie Taylor made $100,000 for Cindy Serrano, and then obviously she's unified. But I can't find purses for other. But there is an article saying she's approaching making her first $1 million purse. So,
well, I know when they were talking about her doing a pay-per-view in the UK, I would not be surprised to see 7-figure purses for that fight for Kay Taylor against, like, Brackus, let's say, right? For them to both get $1 million each. I think that's.
Don't forget, Taylor Serrano was going to land on the White Povetkin pay-per-view originally, so I think that was going to be the co-main. So, interesting to see what it was going to be then, but you know. Looks like we're shit out of luck on that one.
If they're only getting $200 for this, what do you think Serrano gets for fighting your status quo 130 pounder? You know, a top 10,
50K.
She got less than $100,000 for fighting Heather Hardy.
Yeah, it's just
like, that's.
Oh, she got. I thought you said Heather Hardy got less than $100,000.
No, they both did. I think they both did.
And Heather Hardy would have sold most of those tickets. That's where she.
Yeah. She made $20,000 off the gate, is what she said. Like, $20,000 was going to be off ticket sales. So, like, her purse was so low that she might have broke $100,000, but a lot of that was sponsorship and ticket sales. You know, so I mean,
yeah. By the way, Greer got like 75 grand.
Is that all he got?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes.
I thought
that makes more
I was
sense.
looking for it, and I knew it was less than 200 grand. I knew I'd seen it somewhere, but I was trying to find it too.
No, Brian Garcia is making 200 grand. You telling me, and like, he's underpaid.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, and he's underpaid.
So Greer got 75K and lost.
Official purse 75K. Yeah,
that's a double loser for him right there. He was the number 1 contender for the WBO.
Yep, he wanted it was get this out of the way and then bring me the monster.
Let's touch on purses just so we can stay on this sort of vein and this sort of theme. Estrada and his promoter over at Zanford Promotions are not going to have the fight with Roman Gonzalez due to Roman Gonzalez demanding over $1 million for this fight. I mean, I feel like this is an obvious topic. Yeah, I mean, I think both guys should get paid $1 million for this fight. This is easily one of the best fights that DAZN could put on right now. It's a pound-for-pound fight against 2 pound-for-pound talents. It's maybe one of those fights where if Gonzalez wins, we talk about him potentially being an all-time great. And if Estrada wins, we talk about him in even a greater light than we already have. Maybe we talk about Estrada being an automatic Hall of Famer right now if he beats Gonzalez in a rematch. You know, like, this is a fight with a lot of meaning behind it, a lot of different value behind it. And on top of it, just being a great fight. On top of it, it could sell out the Forum in LA. It could sell out definitely certain venues in the southwestern United States. So, guys, thoughts on Estrada's promoter not accepting Roman Gonzalez's 7-figure demand?
We'll have to wait on it. You know, it'll happen. It's just, you know, if we have to do it from empty arenas, I don't have a site fee. I can't pay you that right now. But no, this is a fight where each guy deserves $1 million. You know, I don't think they're going to get high 7 figures. I don't think they're going to be doing $3-4 million. But
7 figures could be 9,999,999. So
right, they're not getting that, but $1 million each. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. right? I don't, if we can't even negotiate $2 million, like then we're just gonna have to wait. Because I'm not taking this fight for $400,000. That's what you offered me. I think this is a legacy fight. This is the best fight you have on your network right now. Hooker, Prograis, and this are the 2 fights you have. I'm not taking this for.
Yeah, you're not getting that one either.
You're not getting that one either, right? So this is the best fight you got, period. So I'm not being shortchanged.
Yeah. Yeah. Sucks, but we'll see. We'll see. I think there's a lot of people want that fight, so it may well come off. So we will see.
There's going to be a weird dynamic playing out the longer this really goes on, because you see in the US, like these cases are just exploding, right? Like hospitalizations and everything. So I don't think this is going to go away as quick as anyone thought it would. And so boxing is like a weird thing where the fighters have to fight to make money for their family. And the promoters are going to have to put fights on, or their companies are just going to keep losing money somehow. I mean, they still have operating cost, And so at some point there's going to have to be a middle ground or a give. I think the fighters will end up being the give before the promoter, obviously. So a lot of these fighters probably are going to take fights that they don't want to take less money for, but that they're going to have to, because ultimately their families have to eat, and I don't know that a lot of promoters are just going to be padding people's pockets while there's not fights going on and they don't have any money coming in, and because really there's no protections for fighters outside of the promoters and things, like, that it's not like being a worker where I don't know that you can go claim unemployment as a boxer. I don't know how that works, so
you could in this last run. I don't know about if, let's say, 6 months from now, that point, that Rubicon River we're about to cross hits, and it maybe things are different. But I know, obviously, as an independent contractor, I was able to get unemployment in this last few months. That was able to happen. Yes, Rob?
No, I was going to say, just as we're on this, shout out to Lou DiBella again. He's offered everyone that is signed to Lou DiBella $2.5 grand, like help loan type situation until they, can get back fighting and stuff like that. So
the problem that Fu is talking about is one that could easily be addressed by the promoters going to the networks and saying, you need to take care of us.
And they have leverage, like you said before. There's no other sports on TV at this point. If we can get boxing with no crowd and a little bit of help from a network to push it, they have the leverage.
That won't happen, though, because as we have seen time and time again in this current market, the promoters are agents of the networks nowadays. That's just that's how the relationships have now developed. You see that with DAZN and its respective promoters. You see that with ESPN and its respective promoters. You see it with Fox and its respective promoter / advisor. So you see it all around. This is not something that I think is really going to happen where you see the promoters come in and say, hey, look, we can give you, this list of great fights. You need to pay us a little bit up front, and we need to make sure everyone's happy and taken care of the way they want. We can give you guys great content and live sports to where we can survive through this.
Yeah,
they won't do that. They won't have that conversation with those network executives.
And Fu was saying that the fighters are going to have to be the ones that give in. Yeah, it's the exact opposite of baseball, where the players are like, nope, my money's guaranteed. So if no owners want to make any money, it's the union. Fighters don't have that. And, it's paycheck to paycheck. I mean, they're not getting anything right now, so they're going to be the ones who have to kind of give in. Unlike baseball,
during this time, baseball players are still getting their salary. I mean, they're guaranteed their salary. So like if you got a $500 million 10-year contract, you're fine. You're not playing baseball and you're getting paid.
Yeah, but even the marginal player, right? Like the 25th man on the roster, he's still getting paid. Like the minimum is like $400,000 or $500,000. He's fine. I'm cool.
Yeah, fine. He's fine. And what I would say is, I think if you look at like the UFC, and I don't really respect Dana White for many reasons. I don't like him as a person, but he's a bully. Like he bullied ESPN. They got the contracts they wanted. He can run, pay-per-views and gets all this money.
He bullies his fighters and gives them contracts. That's how he can make them do all these cards and have good fights on with no gate, because guess
Yep.
what? Fighters, they don't get a cent from the gate. They don't get a cent from the concessions, a cent from the TV. They don't get any of that, man.
I don't want to see boxing go that way, but what I would say is that I think promoters could get a little creative in this time and not try to run a 8-fight card. Don't try to run like a, 2 or 3 good matchups with 6 or 7 undercard fights or something, like do something where you get maybe a solid 2 or 3 card fight, schedule it for like an hour or an hour and a half long program, and just, maximize like the money that you get for that time, work with the network, but put some of these good fights back on, and then start running like fights during the week with some of the lower paid, boxers or lesser names. Let them work to make their name and just get a little creative. Like, don't do a ton of production and things for these fights. So, I mean, we're seeing that everywhere. I mean, dude, I'm in sales, and limo companies right now are doing crazy things, like diversifying their whole workforce.
Time out. I want to really address this because I think you even kind of did this a little bit too much, Fu. 92 Aku in the chat, long-time listener supporter, saying you got to respect what Dana White is doing because he's getting fights done. I don't have to respect jack shit what Dana White's doing. Because those contracts are fucking disgusting and completely restrictive. If not just downright fucking illegal. The class action lawsuit is it could be certified at any moment. I think we're going to get a hearing in either next week or the week after, determining whether a full-on class action lawsuit, and that goes ahead. So no, I think what we have to say about Dana White and the UFC, and first off, let's always remember that Dana White is not the owner of the UFC and never has been, never was, and never will be. He is just the spokesperson of the owners. That's just how it works. Them being able to put on these types of cards in this environment is completely due to those fighters getting paid 20%, if not more like 15% of the overall revenue of the company, while boxers get 70%. That is a gigantic difference. Okay. That is why these fighters in the UFC are begging and scrambling for fights, because they do, all of them from the very, very top, work paycheck to paycheck. Okay. So, no. And saying 92 saying, yeah, but all these fighters have gone paid these last. No, they haven't. What are you talking about, dude?
Yeah, no, I don't want anyone to think I have respect.
Let's go to that pay-per-view that just went on. The big pay-per-view that did 700,000 pay-per-view buys. Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje. Neither one of them got paid certain figures guaranteed.
700,000 pay-per-view buys too during this time.
What did Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury both get for an event that did under 800,000 pay-per-views? Or an event that did 300,000 pay-per-view buys, they got what, 10, 20 million each?
Yeah,
effectively. So no, I don't got to respect jack shit that Dana White is doing. He is a oil baron tycoon piece of scum from the 1800s. In the movie There Will Be Blood, he's that disgusting motherfucker. Okay, that's just what it is.
Yeah, I want everyone to understand, I wasn't saying I have respect for how he treats his fighters, but I was just saying, if promoters in boxing need to learn to leverage their worth to the networks. And I understand, boxing doesn't maybe have the same viewership or doesn't have the same viewership because, UFC fights can sell 700,000 pay-per-views during a pandemic. So, I don't know that we would have a 700,000 pay-per-view during a pandemic in boxing, but.
Yeah. And now I get you think they're fighting for free? No, motherfucker. Did I say that they were fighting for free? I don't know. I said they're getting 20% of the revenue compared to every other sport that's 40, 50, 60, 70% of the revenue. That is what I'm only talking about. If you can't understand how that is inherently wrong, then bro, man, I can't help you, man. You want to go lick Dana White's boots and his balls? Go do that, man. That's all on you. Congrats.
Well, in addition to that, that number is highly inflated by the top earners too. So that 15, 20% is highly inflated by top earners. So there's a lot of people there making nothing,
That's insane. Why don't the fighters unionized. Like that is so bad. Like you couldn't negotiate a worse contract than that, really.
I mean, look, one similar to how like my issue with boxing promoters that they're beholden to the networks. Managers MMA are 100% beholden to promoters. So in boxing, we have actually, even though we give Jordan a lot of shit, we never see Jordan sort of fall in line with the promoter at any point. We never see any real boxing manager do that. We don't see what's his name. I always forget the dude's name. Khan, what's his name? The guy that manages Daniel Jacobs, all those guys. You never hear him, you never hear from him, you never see him, but he is not bending over backwards for these promoters and networks. That's not the case in MMA, and especially with the UFC and their relationship with managers. So managers are never the ones to hold fighters in terms of keeping them happy, keeping them in terms of getting them the best deals possible. You never see that. You just don't. What we saw in these last few months is actually MMA managers shout at media and fighters to stop talking about the pandemic so we can get events going and the UFC can keep going. Managers actually were out there publicly stating that we shouldn't have protocol for COVID, and actually out there publicly stating that they don't want their fighters to have health precautions when it comes to a global pandemic. That's the state we're in. On top of it, the few unionization efforts that have happened in MMA and the UFC have all but failed. Class action lawsuit is probably the closest we're ever going to get to some eventual change, because that looks like it. We've gotten a lot from that, to be honest.
I just off topic. Remember Chris Zavala tested positive for COVID, right? And the guy he was supposed to fight, Eddie Vasquez, they get him another opponent for a show later this month. That guy tested positive too. He's got no luck at all. But I mean, this is like, we're going to have fights canceled. There were 13 Texas Longhorn football players who tested positive for Corona. I mean, this is just going to happen. Like, I mean, events are going to get canceled.
Some crazy amount of Philadelphia Phillies tested positive, right? Rob, you put that in the chat the other day.
Yeah, I was just trying to look at it because there was wait, where is it? It should be right there.
Ezekiel Elliott tested positive the other day, right? And it went all over the news. And he just tweets HIPAA. Like, who put this out there?
Wow, that's funny.
That's hilarious.
Clemson, whatever that is.
Clemson football had a bunch of guys too.
Yeah, 23.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. I mean,
just to give you an update, while I was looking while you guys were talking, you're currently on. Let's get America's up right now. 31,444 new cases today. So
if you have football camps and things like that, those guys spend every week an hour together, right? So it's going to spread around, right? Like, in Texas, we have the Best of the South showcase, the baseball showcase, and they're going on with it scheduled.
Yeah, we're talking about boxing or baseball.
For baseball.
I just said Clemson. I don't know what it is.
Let's move on to Big Baby Miller's back, guys. Let's be happy here. Air horns, right?
What about his back?
The return of the king, Anthony Joshua's greatest fear. Baby Miller. He's back though, guys, fighting what, Rob?
It's just the way you led into that. It's just crazy.
I love the hate that Big Baby gets. Like
Joshua was scared of him. Yeah, Miller popped for 3 different fucking pets.
Yeah, he was scared of those steroids. We saw that. Saw that.
The EPO and the fucking human growth hormone.
But he's fighting July 9th, Las Vegas, obviously on ESPN or ESPN Plus top rank card, and fighting Jerry Forrest.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
No, I've listened to an interview with Jerry. I'm impressed with the guy. I like him. I'm all for Jerry.
I like Jerry Forrest, but like I don't care about this fight.
He said he's got mad power in both hands, and hang on, he used the words Ernie Shavers Foreman, that kind of thing going on.
What?
Wait. Despite being a nuclear electrician, he's like got pretty much the highest security clearance that you can in America for anything to do with nuclear, right? But bear that in mind when I'm talking about his intelligence. When he fought Jermaine Franklin and he got that shitty decision, he should have won that fight against Jermaine Franklin. But people were like, well, so you've got this mad, crazy power. Why didn't he say, because I know people will appreciate a boxing masterclass while on, it was a Showbox card, I think, right?
I remember the card. Actually, I remember this fight very well because it was so bad.
No, he won that fight. Anyway, but shout out to him. He's a very switched on, but yeah, we'll see. Apparently, he's not welcome at Wilder's camp either anymore because of he brings that work.
Are you saying that he's like the diet version of Charles Martin? Is that what you're telling us?
No. I think he's the prince.
The
prince is the pauper now. Get out of here.
How dare you? Don't you dare.
He's the vanilla Coke to Coke.
No. Charles Martin is vanilla Coke. Let's be honest about it, okay?
Do you ever have that orange Coke? That is disgusting. Why would anyone do that?
No, I haven't. I don't drink soda. I haven't drank soda since 2015. Almost 5 years now.
Cherry Coke as well. Fuck out.
Cherry Coke is okay. The orange thing was like it tastes worse than it sounds. It sounds awful. I don't know why I spent $2 on it, but it was like, oh, this is the worst thing ever. This is disgusting.
No, nothing. If you put the word cherry in it, I'm good. No, keep it away from me.
Cherry sundae.
Yeah, it's got cherry in it. Shut up.
All right.
I just said the rules.
So I was reading up on this fight a little bit, and they're saying like Big Baby Miller hasn't been tested in like forever.
He popped. Basically, he popped. And funnily enough, this fight got made within the last 30 days. So you know what? It's not even worth testing him right now because. And then, again, this was Lou DiBella. He went ham about his. So you know, we've heard Bob saying, "Oh, you know, we signed Miller because he's going to be a future opponent for Fury." Yeah, have a little quick check on the Clean Boxing program list. See if Big Baby Miller's in there. You won't find him in there. That's why he's not in the WBC rankings. He's not. Yeah. So yeah, you know, doing boxing things.
It's wild.
Yeah, but he's a bad guy. He's a good bad guy to have.
A clean boxing program that announces to all the fighters they're not going to test during COVID.
Yeah, I'll give them some slack on that one. I'd rather them be transparent than not because we've had a lot of issues with sanctioned bodies not being transparent. But I will say this: does anyone have any real serious take here on Joe Miller being back and how he shouldn't be, or is everyone like me and just doesn't care?
No, we're making jokes. That's just what it is, right?
Yeah, I just don't care. I mean, like Fury's still fighting.
Neither just
tons of people are still fighting. So I mean, you know,
either. So
yeah,
just let them fight Povetkin and White. Just let all the cheaters shoot each other.
Yeah, right.
The cheaters cheat each other. I like it. Yeah, why not? They do anyway, Gary. That's boxing.
Everyone's on steroids.
The whole boxing roster. Everybody.
The whole WBC.
Yeah. But look,
everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC. Everybody.
It's taking forever to find it.
That was enough UFC talk a minute ago. We didn't need to use this.
But anyways, I think that Joe Miller should be allowed to use whatever steroids he wants. You just have to give the equal amount to his opponent, and we're good.
Didn't Roy Jones have a fight like that where they both tested positive for the same substance? When they were like, all right. It was Andro, I think. It was legal to buy, but it was banned. And they both tested positive for it. And they're like, all right, let's go on with it.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's Roy Jones. You can tell he was on steroids. Like, let's not be stupid here. Your favorite fighter was on steroids, like guarantee. Like anyone listening right now, your favorite fighter, like Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, and all of them Barkley, they're all on steroids, guys.
I don't know if they had steroids back in the 50s.
Yes, they did.
Did they?
Yes.
All right.
I don't think Braulio Rodriguez is taking drugs.
He's taking some drugs. He's taking some drugs.
Yeah, not performance enhancing, let's be honest.
Taking some banned substances, at least.
Not all of my favorite fighters.
And we have to remember, like, in like the early 1900s, cocaine was like in every daily product you can imagine. So all of them were on cocaine. That's how they did 32 fucking rounds.
Yeah.
It wasn't because they were just naturally fitter in 1908. They were taking cocaine like every second.
Ludes.
Yeah, Coca-Cola to bring that back. Ditch the orange Coke and bring, but never mind.
Double I saying no Duran slander allowed. Hey, look, I love Roberto Duran. This isn't slander. This is just being honest.
We all love Duran, but come on, like when I was in college, half the baseball team at a small college was on steroids. You think they stop once they have a chance to earn millions of dollars? Of course not. It increases. Like now I have to do it. It was for fun. Now it's for business. Now I have to do it.
Let's be real. I would be taking PEDs if I was about to slap Sugar Ray Leonard's wife's ass. To get a reaction. Oh yeah.
You know, if you ever see a picture of Jose Canseco and Mark McGwire together when they first were signed to the A's or whatever, the Athletics, like, and then you see Mark McGwire on St. Louis when he when he smashes a home run record, like, dude, it's ridiculous. It's like watching Shaq from high school and Shaq when he played for the Lakers.
What's crazy about that is that skinny little McGwire hit 49 home runs. You want to know why he hit 70?
That's true.
Because like he was already a great hitter, and then look what you did to him. You made him Superman.
Popeye pre-spinach to Popeye post-spinach.
It is like, dude, the picture of Mark McGwire, the Bash brothers, them and Canseco and him together, they look like stick figures, dude, compared to what they looked like later in the sport.
You can see when they went from heroin to PEDs, that from the 70s to the 80s. You can see that transition in the drugs. It's quite clear. Any other thoughts on Joe Millick being back next month? No.
Steroids was the best thing that could happen to baseball. So let's see how it works in boxing, right?
Just so you know, the real big baby is on the undercard as well. I had that confirmed.
Oh, Jared Anderson. Yeah.
So look out for the battle of the babies.
Oh my God, they're definitely going to build up for that fight, aren't they? Oh my God, Top Rank is so bad.
It's going to be like Look Who's Talking. Look Who's Talking too. The rematch.
Anyways, moving on. Let's get to this report from Chris Mannix talking about Joseph Diaz Jr. looking to get a way out of his contractually obligated rematch with Tevin Farmer, per sources. Diaz's team prefers Diaz faces his mandatory little known. I apologize for this name pronunciation. I'm about to butcher. Shavitz Von Rakhimov.
No, come on.
That's it. But Farmer has been firm. Pause. Live up to the contract or give up the belt. Guys, thoughts on this? I'll be honest. I'd rather just see the rematch with Diaz and Farmer. I don't want to see Rakhimov, who is actually like a decent prospect, so to speak. Is he a prospect? Should I call him that? He's faced some decent opposition.
Contender. He's a mandatory, right? He's a contender.
Yeah, contender. He's decent, but I don't care to see that right now. I want to see a Farmer rematch, even though I'm of the group that does not think that Farmer had anything wrong with him. There's no neurological issues. He just got his ass beat, and he had no idea how to cope with that. That's what I think happened. But I know there's a lot of you out there that think Farmer was, I don't know, something happened to him, so he lost. So let's have a fight again.
Same thing as like the Wilder.
Yeah, he wore a 40-pound hoodie with fur around the top.
Why can't people just accept that people get their ass whooped? I don't understand that. Like, Farmer just got his ass whooped.
The best is Farmer's looking up in the air too much. Something must be wrong.
Yeah, he's getting his ass whooped. He's like, what the fuck can I do here? I'm getting my ass whooped.
Wrong game plan. I want to say like two things. Like, first, I agree with Matt. There was nothing wrong with Farmer except he came with the wrong game plan. And Jojo Diaz came in Mamba mentality and was not going to be denied that night. Like, Jojo Diaz was beating anyone that night. And Tevin Farmer cooperated. Tevin Farmer stayed in a phone booth with him and fought Jojo Diaz's fight. Now, I think that Tevin Farmer will win the rematch because he will fight the complete opposite the way he fought the first fight.
Yeah, but that's a Tevin Farmer thing, though. It's like he's like, I've got this massive defensive skill, so I can sit right here in the pocket, and you can't touch me. And he tried to do the same thing against John O'Carroll, and multiple times in the fight. So like, he just got his ass whooped.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with him, you know. But he shouldn't get screwed out of the rematch.
He should get. He gave Diaz the fight. He should get the rematch.
Yeah, but the confusion is about the IBF mandatory that was called, and now I'm just saying, Mannix I think alluded to the fact that the IBF maybe have given permission for the rematch to go ahead. Others were saying no, but I'll perhaps hit up the IBF and see what they say.
I'll say this: the IBF lately has really relaxed on the whole like, hey, we were forcing mandatories thing. So I don't see this.
During COVID, yeah, they've given Joshua a little bit of leeway to get this fight done.
I want to say like most sanctioning bodies even put out like a public statement saying that mandatory stuff like that aren't really going to be enforced during this period. I know the WBC made a public statement about that. I forget if the other sanctioning bodies did, but I'm assuming if one's doing something, they all do it, to be honest.
They're going to look at it weight category by weight category, which if I'm Dillian White, you might want to start worrying.
Let's talk briefly about the AJ Fury deal per se. Usyk has come out and said that, hey, if you want to fight Fury, I'm going to strip you of that belt, and I'm going to fight for the belt regardless. And on top of it, I don't think we talked about this on the last show when we were talking about Dan O'Callaghan in detail, but KHK Sports has now dropped him as an advisor, and that's been a new development in terms of potentially being a hang-up in these types of big fight deals.
At least publicly, right?
What do you mean?
Like KHK publicly have kind of said that, but is he though? Is he really not?
Oh, good point. I mean, absolutely good point. I will say this though, that in the sort of the span of the news cycle for this fight, for this deal, right? We went from AJ Fury 2-fight deal, summertime, fall 2021 to, oh shit, the entire world's finding out about Dan O'Callaghan. Oh shit, all these people are trying to sort of cut ties from Dan O'Callaghan. Dubai, UAE are starting to invest, and now we have obviously KHK Sports in Bahrain now sort of trying to cut ties with Dan O'Callaghan. It just seems like the deal, plus obviously with Usyk saying, hey, I don't want I will strip the belt from AJ Fury if I have to. It just seems like that deal is not going to happen as we previously thought for a variety of issues. One of them being Dan O'Callaghan's side of it, one of them being the mandatory side of it, and just how the sport is structured. Guys, any thoughts on the Usyk side to it and him refusing to let the WBO be fought in that sort of fight before he fights for it? And obviously Callaghan being cut allegedly from KHK Sports.
First of all, shout out to Paco of the WBO, the president, who changed his mind in his own thread like 3 times. I got clarification once that I was like, right, so what you're saying is Joshua can face Fury, and then Usyk will get to face the winner of Fury, Joshua. And he was like, yes. I was like, right, cool. And then in his own thread, I think Dan Raphael joined in as well. And then he was like, no, Usyk will have to face Joshua before. And we're like, wait, let's try again. What the fuck is your ruling? What are you saying about this? But if you look in the topics I've sent, he's done a video with someone. It was the last thing I sent to the topics. And he has said that Usyk will face Joshua before. Joshua will have to get past Usyk to face Fury before. So he's basically he's got his 2 mandatories before getting the Joshua fight. So the Fury fight. So I guess that means Dillian White should be able to get his chance as well.
That good old Paco over there is like an Alex Jones level crazy dude. So just, man, the WBO, great hands. Guys, any other thoughts before we move on? Because we do have a lot more topics to get to. Actually.
No.
Let's move on. Lance Pugmire reporting. God, Rob, I'm so mad you sent me this fucking topic. So mad.
I know. I'm sorry.
Lance Pugmire saying told by Gary Russell Jr. that he feels great training at 138 pounds and is serious about wanting to fight Adrian Broner. Pugmire saying, perfect premier boxing fight for Al Heyman to showcase just how skilled Russell is while cashing in on the name value of the desperate for a win AB. First off, fuck this fight in like every conceivable way. Like this is like the worst matchup you could ever make on paper. Why would we even be talking about this? And two, what crack is Lance Pugmire smoking to say that this fight would be great? Sorry, perfect is the word he used. Perfect to showcase just how skilled Russell is while cashing in on AB. No, it's not cashing on AB with any of the welterweights we have. No. Let's not showcase Gary Russell with, Leo fucking Santa Cruz, the guy that was in his division with the belt for his entire title reign. No. Let's not do that. Let's just have Adrian Broner or Gary Russell Jr. because I'm Lance Pugmire and I think it's perfect because somebody told me this fight's happening or that they were serious about it. So guess what? I'm going to just, tap dance for it. It's just, oh my God, just everything. This fight and the reporting of this news
isn't perfect.
It is just so revolting. So revolting.
I don't know why a full-time rapper is talking about, because he's been talking shit about everyone. He's been going to Progress. He said something like, someone get me my 10 million and I'll take this guy out, and like Gary Russell beef and other people. But I didn't like another mixtape drop. Surely that's going to get him more than 10 million, right? I mean, I don't know. But yeah, let's. He's not getting the money that he wants from this fight, from any fight. So do your thing, Broner. Don't worry about it. Gary Russell, fight a featherweight.
Or even like a super featherweight. I'll take 130. I'll take that. I'll take a fucking 130-pound fight. Like, that's a good fight. Like, Leo's up there now. Fucking fight Leo at 130. I don't care.
Yeah, move up, whatever.
If you feel good at 138, go down 3 pounds and dance at 135. Like, there's a bunch of good names there. Have a good time.
Fight twice a year. Like that.
Yeah, fight twice a year.
Oh, let's not get ahead of ourselves. That's a little bit too much.
If that happens, Broner is definitely getting 10 mil for a fight.
I think the world of Gary Russell Jr. I think he's one of the most skilled fighters in the world. If his one fight that year is against Adrian Broner, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it.
You think the world of him?
I think this just proves how scared Gary Russell is of taking Lomachenko on a second time. He's actually tried to come in so heavy that he can't fight Lomachenko at 135. He's just skipping 130, 135, and going straight to 140. He's just over it. He's like so afraid of Lomachenko.
Yo, tell Loma to stop ducking teeth from Lopez.
September 16th.
He would never duck.
September.
And Devin Haney. He asked for that franchise belt. Give me that franchise belt. I don't want Devin Haney. I want that work. Please, WBC, save me. Yeah. Get the fuck out of here, Loma.
September 16th, no? In Vegas. They're talking.
Yeah. I'm still gonna wait. Like, I'm done reporting on that fight until we actually get like a press release, because we've talked about that a lot, I feel like, and it's been, hey, this date or this month, this venue, maybe, I don't know, maybe.
I still find it highly hilarious that the bubble in the MGM, so careful, trying to, yes, they've had a couple of people test positive, but there's a fucking room full of thousands of people next door drinking, smoking, fucking no masks. How can you have the bubble next to? It's like blowing a bubble next to a fucking cactus, right? It's like, oh man, it's crazy.
Well, the good thing is you have to like walk through the cactuses to get to the bubble, I'm assuming.
Yeah, probably.
Right, like let alone like the travel it takes to get to Vegas. Like, not everyone's living in Vegas that's fighting at these cards. So you're in cars, you're in planes, you're traveling, like you're at gas stations and rest stops. Like
I think once you're in the bubble, there's you're good. It's just getting there, I guess. It's just excuse me. Can I just squeeze past? Thank you. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
A bunch of Karens getting angry, coughing on people.
Let's move on. Unless anyone else has any other takes on Gary Russell Jr. and Adrian Broner. Let's just hope that never happens.
No other takes to have on that other than fuck out of here.
Mike Cobb is reporting sources. Virgil Ortiz Jr. and Samuel Vargas have agreed to a fight on July 24th in Indio, California. Ortiz and Vargas were scheduled to fight March 28th on DAZN before the pandemic struck. Guys, I think this is going to be the first DAZN card back and the first Golden Boy card back. Gary, I know as the resident Ortiz fanboy, your thoughts on this are probably needed more than ever.
Rashidi Ellis was calling for that work.
Don't, God, you fucking Gary.
Just speak on the topic, man. Jesus.
I wanted Gary to be like, oh yeah, Ortiz is gonna be awesome. He's gonna destroy some Vargas. I'm like, yeah, but he's ducking Rashidi fucking Ellis. He's ducking that work, and we all know it. Okay, we all know Golden Boy is scared of Rashidi Ellis, and he's in their own fucking stable.
Why would they? If Rashidi Ellis wins, he's fast tracked to fighting for a world title. Why would they care who wins? Whoever wins, I win. Right? If I'm Oscar, if Rashidi Ellis wins, great, fantastic. Rashidi Ellis won. Rashidi Ellis is ready for a world title. He just beat one of the biggest prospects in the sport. Well, why would you know what I'm saying? It's a win-win for Oscar. Whoever wins, I win.
What belt was Rashidi Ellis wearing right there?
That looks like a WBA.
WBA something. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And why was Chuck Liddell holding his hand up?
Chuck Liddell? Stop it.
I don't know. It looks kind of like him.
No, they don't. I'm looking at it right now. They don't look alike. It's so bad.
Put it back on. I want to look again.
All right. I'll put it back on as I'm talking about this. I'll say this. Rashidi Ellis has clearly never been a priority for Golden Boy Promotions. I've never seen them push him in any way at all. Not even like a significant way. No, they just haven't pushed him in any way ever. I've never heard Oscar really mention Rashidi Ellis in any interview when he's talking about his stable of fighters.
I did once and he got it wrong, like the name.
Oh my God, he did. No, he can't. You're joking, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank God, because that's something that he would do.
It was an educated guess type joke.
Oh, because he would do that. I'll be honest. Yeah. He might get mixed up with his brother. That's possible.
I remember in the build up to Canelo Kovalev, Oscar sat down with Chris Mannix, and Oscar in the space of 5 minutes went from like trying to build the fight. Obviously, Canelo Kovalev, he's a good boxer, he's a good mover, he's this, that, and the other. 2 minutes later, he said, Kovalev, he's not really got any legs, he can't move. He went from saying, anyone may be listening, like, oh, this sounds like a good fight. Oh, and he's going up 2 weight division. Oh, and the guy, this is going to be, oh, wait, he's just going to stand in front of him and get hit. Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
it is so clear that their success, meaning Golden Boy Promotions' success, and
relies on other people,
where they're in the early 2010s, were purely due to Richard Schaefer and Al Heyman. Just going to point that out there. Because, they still have Eric Gomez. He was with the company back then, too. Look what he's doing. Bernard Hopkins has been a minority owner of the company for 15 years. What the fuck has he done? It's just, it's rough. It's rough for Golden Boy right now.
B-Hop shows up to events and people like B-Hop,
I will say that.
B-Hop.
He shows up, but let's be honest, he's bored and he doesn't really do drugs like Oscar does. So that's why, if I'm just being honest. Allegedly.
B-Hop predicts Joshua Fury, the first fight will be a draw, and Joshua will win the rematch.
Of course, Rob's throwing that out there. If we think it's rough with Golden Boy right now, wait until Canelo leaves.
It's so great, I can't wait.
With Ryan,
that's gonna be real rough.
with Ryan, both on the back.
Yeah,
doing the Mr. Bean.
Dude, the crazy part is they can both just take a cool 2 to 3 years off and fight out their contract in a legal battle, and Canelo will be 32 years old.
That's mad.
Right? Ryan's gonna be 27, 28 maybe.
Oh, he's 22 now, so 25
now. Oh, he's tough. Dude. Yeah. Just do it. I know like Gary mentioned that, I think on the last show, talking about Ryan and his beef with Golden Boy, but I kind of scoffed at that. No, just fucking do it. Like, there's
Ryan's good. He's got those Karate Kid royalties coming in.
Yeah.
And anyway, back to B-Hop. I don't want B-Hop's draw to come true. I need Fury to win the first one, remember? That glove needs to...
I need to increase the value here.
Yeah, get rid of it and then get myself a Joshua one for the rematch.
Any other thoughts, guys, on Virgil Ortiz, Samuel Vargas, Rashidi Ellis not getting the fight because Rashidi Ellis is not a priority at Golden Boy? Any thoughts?
Just real quick, I'm not happy about the fight. If you thought I was going to be happy just because Virgil Ortiz is coming back, no, I wasn't happy when they announced this fight before the pandemic. I want to see Virgil Ortiz fight somebody good, right? Like, I know he's only 21, but let's move him. Let's go. Like, enough of the Samuel Vargases of the world.
That's fine. That's a fine fight.
92 in the chat. I was gonna say you totally redeemed yourself. Just want to point it out, like the Dumb and Dumber. Like, you totally redeemed yourself when you said they got Blair Cobbs still.
Fuck off! That guy's a fucking idiot,
dude. Braulio Rodriguez is a better fighter than fucking Blair Cobbs. Let's just be honest about it. And he has better hair. Point that out too. Shout out to Braulio, the man, the myth, the legend.
Ric Flair fucking theme running through it all is just makes it worse. Fuck.
Let's talk about these cards that happened this last week, guys. Joshua Greer obviously lost in his card, and it did an average of 350,000 viewers and a peak of 503. Also, Gabriel Flores was the main event on, I think it was Thursday night's card, because obviously the Jose Pedraza fight fell out due to COVID. Somebody testing positive for COVID. Was it him or Les Pierre?
Les Pierre.
No, he's manager.
Wait, what was that?
Les Pierre's manager.
Oh, that's right. Les Pierre's manager tested positive. Thank you. And this card did a peak of 382, an average of 305. Again, not great viewerships. Just from a pure number standpoint, but they were the best viewerships for ESPN on, I think, each day, especially the Shakur fight was the best viewership of the day when he fought. Guys, thoughts on any of these cards, thoughts on any of the fights that happened, thoughts on the viewership, anything? I'll be honest, I watched both cards and I have no real opinions other than laughing at Joshua Greer losing, only due to Gary having like a love affair for the guy and me laughing whenever any of my co-hosts fighters they love lose. I'm sadistic that way.
Shout out to him though. He had a great attitude afterwards. He
did.
Yeah. So
he did. Shout out to him. And I do like Joshua Greer. I think he's going to be a perennial top 20 guy, but he's a perennial top 20 guy.
What do you think it is? Because the reflexes, the power, the combination. I mean, he keeps his hands. He used to be a volume puncher. Now he keeps his hands in his pockets, and throws 30 punches around. I mean, what do you think is his natural power and athleticism and speed just isn't translating?
I don't think he has game plans often. I think he kind of just goes in there and feels it out, kind of like a sparring session.
He got caught cold, I think, as well. I don't think he was.
But did you see those shots he got hit with? How did you not see? Those weren't short little hooks he turned on. He wound up and hit him with those. A guy with reflexes like Greer should never get hit by those.
But here's also the thing: Joshua Greer isn't a proven top 5, top 10 talent.
No.
You know what I mean? He's a guy that got some hype because he was good behind the mic and he was a good sort of self-promoter. The whole pillow thing, I mean, that went viral for, at least in our industry and our community, it went viral.
He had some highlight reel knockouts too.
He did. I mean, when he was coming up, he definitely had some good, especially in the lower weight classes. I think hardcore is always fanboy out for lower weight class fighters that have some pop. That's just how we are. Look at Inoue. His entire hype is because he has power. So Greer had that to his own degree, not, again, a one-to-one analog of Inoue. Not doing that, but just saying guys in the lower weight classes have pop. You get fans. You do. And plus, he was a good showman. I just don't think he has, at least at this point in time, the game planning ability to really break into the top 10. That's what I see as an issue. He goes in there and feels it out. And you can do that and be quite successful as a club level, mid-card level fighter. And do that just off raw talent, raw power, raw speed, raw athletic ability, raw, boxing IQ, because he does have decent boxing IQ. It's just he doesn't put it together in the right way. I don't think he watches tape. There are certain things I just don't think he does. And that's happened for a few fights, I would say. That it's been quite clear that is the issue. And that's often the issue with guys that have a lot of talent but can't break through that barrier, that top 10 ceiling, is because their team is not crafting game plans for individual fights. That is the number one issue for prospects that cannot catapult to the top level.
It's like the prospect pitcher who cranks it up 96 miles an hour, and then when he gets to the big show, they turn on it. Like, well, what else can you do? That's all I can do.
Just like baseball.
Right?
I think like the big thing for me with guys that are coming up, like, it's such a fine line to walk. You've got to believe in yourself and have the confidence to step in the ring and know that you can win every day. But there is like the other side once you cross that line and you start to believe the hype of like, fans and your team around you just thinking that you are untouchable and that no one will beat you. And I think Greer kind of fell into that. Like, I can knock anyone out. No one can touch me. I'm not, this is an easy fight, and then you get in there with the dog and it's hard, like similar to the Navarrete and, oh God, I went blank. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
The guy you like so much that lost to Navarrete or whatever.
Oh, Dogbe.
Yeah, Dogbe. Sorry, I went blank all of a sudden.
He's back. I think he's going to be on one of these top ranked cards. By the way.
Oh, is he? Oh, I'm so excited, man.
Yeah.
Speaking of a dog, Clay Collard taking out Kaminsky. Another. I don't know. He's ruining prospects, right?
Keep your prospects away from him.
And a former UFC fighter. Just want to point that out.
Yeah, and he got $5,000 for that fight. But he's apparently
he earned every penny of it too.
He's potentially going to be getting an A-side slot on one of the upcoming cards as well. So he's going to be back. And just Gabe Flores, he got $20,000 for his fight as the main 20,000.
Do we know what Pedraza was going to make?
Oh, I did see that. What was it going to be? Shit.
Because obviously Flores wasn't supposed to be the main event. Like it's hard to say like, oh, the main event fighter only got paid 20.
Yeah.
That main event happened like in a day's notice. I want to say they got changed like that. So I'm curious what Pedraza was going to get paid.
I can't remember now.
He must have been getting paid six figures.
I think no.
Really?
I don't know. He's like 50. I think it was 50. Yeah. Because I remember Tank for his fight against Pedraza when Pedraza was champion. Tank got $75,000. Was the purse that was what do they call it? Commission purse. And
purse, yes.
And then when I saw what Pedraza was getting, I was like, shit, that's less than what Tank fighting for the belt against him. So
as the feet side, as the eye, as the mandatory.
Yeah. So yeah, Pedraza was getting $50,000, I think.
Dude, Friday Davis got paid only $75,000 as a disclosed purse for the Pedraza fight. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure he got whatever on top.
That's that pre-DAZN, pre-ESPN Plus boom, man. Like purses were different back then, man. That is another thing. Even mandatory purses were different back then. And now we're in a pandemic world. So
quickly on Gabe Flores.
Mm-hmm.
Good enough, but I don't know. I think I'd like to have seen him with a little bit of a killer instinct. He could have got that guy up out of there.
It hasn't been a great showing for the ESPN prospects. Like Greer lost, Flores looked okay. Santillan was total trash. If that was their next guy at 147, that guy ain't it. Like this has not been a good showcase for top-ranked young fighters.
Agreed. Let's move on, guys, because we're almost out of here. Speaking of Pedraza and the LSPR fight, it's been rescheduled, or at least they're planning to reschedule it for July 14th, and along with the Michaela Mayer and Helen Joseph fight that I think we're all actually kind of semi-excited for. That was like one of the few decent fights that Top Rank had put together. They were going to put a doubleheader on for July 14th. That's what they're planning. And just so we can get out of here because it's late, it's almost midnight in the UK. Andrew Cancio versus Cesar Allan of Valencia is, I think, either planned or in the works for July 16th in Las Vegas. And last topic of the day, Jamie Foxx reveals that the Mike Tyson movie is finally moving ahead. And I gotta say, I'm excited for this. Even though I will say the last Jamie Foxx movie I saw was yesterday or 2 days ago, I saw a Jamie Foxx movie with my son. He was the bad guy in Amazing Spider-Man 2. That was not a good movie at all. But I like Jamie Foxx. He's Academy Award-winning actor, right? He won an Academy for Ray Charles, right?
Yeah.
He did, right? And plus, this is Mike Tyson. This is one of those figures in boxing history that is a completely gray character. In its entirety. So the complexity that they could, really go into here, I'm excited for. And again, Jamie Foxx, he nails the voice down, so I'm excited.
Oh, did you hear him talking through what the opening scene's going to be?
That was a long time ago, actually, Rob. That clip. Yes, that.
I thought that was recent or something.
He's been trying to put on this movie for like a decade, I want to say.
Yeah, someone said people are a little bit surprised by this, but it's not like he hasn't been talking about this for 8 years.
So I think that was on. I forget what radio show that was on. I think it might have been Sway. I forget which one. And he did that sort of. This is how I envisioned the first scene to go. Right. That was a while ago, but yes, epic stuff.
You'll need to do that because that fucking had me hyped. I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be cool. So I hope this comes off because I'm excited. Sorry, I forgot the Andrew Cancio stuff.
It doesn't matter. Guys, any other thoughts before we wrap up the show? Jamie Foxx movie, Pedraza, Les Pierre, Michaela Mayer, Helen Joseph, Andrew Cancio back, all that fun stuff.
There was supposed to be a movie about Arturo Gatti called Thunder, and Turtle from Entourage was going to play Gatti. I don't know whatever happened to that.
I think that everyone realized that was a bad idea.
Matt's a low-key, well, maybe not even low-key Gotti hater, dude.
Oh, no. Let's just be honest here. Turtle from Entourage should not be playing fucking Gotti.
Oh, gotcha.
That's my point. That casting makes no sense. Jamie Foxx as Mike Tyson is one of those casting ideas that's oh, that's perfect. You can't fuck that up. That is perfect. Yes. Give him the Oscars right now.
My youngest son is named after Gatti.
I can't remember if it's Ward or Gatti that Matt isn't a big fan of.
No, I'm not. I have no issues with either. I just don't think Arturo Gatti should be in the Hall of Fame. I'll just say that.
Oh, there you go. That's it. I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah, I'm just being honest here. I'm sorry. I think Arturo Gatti is a legend, but maybe he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Digressing though, guys.
Rocky's in the Hall of Fame. So.
Okay, but he's not in as a
non-combatant.
Okay, difference.
Don't tell people in Philadelphia that. Good Lord.
Yeah, man.
Calm down, guys. Calm down.
92 Coop, I need an Oscar movie too. That would be a decent movie. Especially if they got real about Oscars.
I want to watch the fourth one. I'm not too worried about the first three. I think the fourth one's gonna be like Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, maybe don't keep that one 100. Maybe keep that one 99. We don't need to see everything.
Keep that 199
on a Pernell Whitaker movie.
Sniffing shit out of a fucking
Pernell Whitaker movie would be so sad. I feel because it's just
Pernell's on the wall right there.
We still need that, man.
So many movies, and if someone from audible.com.co.uk whatever are listening, put some freaking boxing books on your fucking website. Oh my god.
Speaking of boxing movies, the Duran movie that came out not too long ago with Robert De Niro and I forget who played. It was Edgar Ramirez, I think, who played Roberto Duran. That movie you cannot buy anywhere. I try to buy that during this whole pandemic. I can't buy it on YouTube. I can't buy it on Apple. I can't buy it anywhere. That's pissing me off. They got to fix that.
Oh, and while we're doing sort of shout outs, don't forget you can pre-order Eddie Hearns' book.
Oh my word.
Relentless secret to make it. No, I'm joking, but
be born rich.
Yeah,
and get a company handed to you. Voila.
Yeah, the Relentless thing was kind of weird. That's the name of it, Relentless, right?
Yeah.
Like he had everything handed to him.
Oh
Like-
yeah, 'cause he doesn't work at all, does he, Gary? Yeah.
Be born on third base and then have the best
Gary,
player.
Gary,
Rain Man on me.
here's the deal. They had some focus groups that worked on nepotism as the title.
That didn't work so well.
It didn't work so well with the focus group.
Sounds like relentless. Like have everything handed.
Right? Hey,
It's like when people say that Trump is like self-made or something, and I'm like, no, he got a bunch of money from his dad, who was like a real estate tycoon, and then they go, yeah, but he still had to like do good with that money, and it's like, well, no, they've done studies on it, and he actually did worse with that money than a normal person would have done with that money, just investing it properly.
Bad analogy, Foo. Bad analogy.
Wasn't it that study that wasn't it that study like by the third or fourth generation in like generational money, like shit just goes bad?
Like I don't know.
I remember reading a study somewhere that like study like all like the 40 like most wealthy families, something like that, and like trace back like what they like doing, like run into the law and stuff like this, and they said like by the third or fourth generation, it doesn't go well. That generational wealth it creates a lot of negative characteristics.
Keep in mind, I like Eddie Hearn. I think Eddie Hearn is a hardworking man, and he does a lot, but relentless.
It's not relentless. Like again, your position in life entitles you to something sometimes, right? It's just that's the way of the world, right? But that doesn't mean you earned it or worked for it. It means it was. But it's also not a knock on you, right? But like relentless means that you did it all yourself. No,
that's not define the word relentless. Doesn't mean you've done it all yourself.
Webster's Dictionary, Robert Hearns over here.
I'm just saying, relentless doesn't mean.
No, okay, when I said he was relentless, what does that mean? It means it was handed to him. What was that?
It just means he never stopped working.
He never stopped.
Never stopped working. I think that's true. Eddie Hearn does work really hard, but I mean, I still want to bag on him for having shitloads of money. And
it's the wrong name of the book, right? Like relentless.
I'll let him know. I'll let him know. It's only pre-order. It's not official.
Yo, Eddie, hand me $100 million company, and I'll be relentless working that shit. Don't worry.
It will go to shit.
No doubt.
Whatsoever.
Like
Matt will fuck that thing right up.
I want to read a book from a waiter that's like relentless. How I made, $14 an hour for 40 fucking years.
It's like
that still applies. Relentless is fine. If
I know it does.
I was given a company, and I basically kept it as good as it was given to me. Okay. Like I mean,
Gary, you're just on the.
It's like George Steinbrenner's kid saying, "Relentless. Look what I did. The Yankees are worth $1 billion."
You think Matchroom Boxing is in the same position as when Barry had it?
Is it not?
When did Eddie officially get the company?
It's still Barry's, by the way. But
all right, but
it's still Barry's, by the way.
It is Barry.
Oh, all right then. Okay, Barry's book should be relentless, but for
I don't know the family history.
The last 20 years, I've sat on my ass and let my son do all the work. All right.
Shout out to Uncle Eddie. We love you. Everyone, have a fantastic day, evening, night, wherever you are. Remember, fuck the police. Black Lives Matter. All that great stuff. And all of you guys that are writing out rants in the comment section right now because I said those two things, you're fucking losers. Don't forget that. And find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all social media platforms if you want to debate me on that stuff or just other stuff. I love debating, and Twitter is that platform. If you want, music, recommendations, my IG, Matt Hunter, MCR, right there.
Yeah, I recommend you don't.
A lot of great music recommendations. Okay, Rob just hates it because he's like 80 years old. By the way,
today, I told you my recommendation today.
What was the recommendation today?
Alone, Heart. Tune. Rob, final thoughts? Final thoughts. You're all a bunch of haters. I don't give a fuck what you say. Eddie's worked very hard and changed British boxing. Gary knows nothing. Foo's here to troll. And Matt, you're just a hater. You don't even like boxing. I don't know why we would do this podcast ever. But you can follow me at UK Rob, MCR, Instagram and Twitter. Probably Twitter because it's a hell of a lot more fun, I think, than Instagram. Instagram, people just like stuff, right? Ooh. But Twitter is much more fun.
It is more fun.
But yeah, join us in about 6 weeks for the next bi-weekly annual show.
We did a show on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah, that's bi-weekly.
We did, you didn't, right? So maybe Rob will be back in 6 weeks, but we'll have a show.
Ooh.
How many times have I said, yeah, look, I can't make it, just do a show? You're like, oh no, we'll put it off till.
Because it's better when you have 3 or 4. 4 would be ideal. I mean, let's not, get crazy that we get 4, but it.
Whose camera's making me think 3 is probably better.
Foo's definitely on Wi-Fi on this show, right?
Oh, I don't know, man. You're a gaming dude as well.
He's got this big ass computer, and like, it looks like he's from 1998 over there.
He looks like from Tiger King right now
on fucking MySpace. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Do you even hear us? I don't even know what's going on.
I can hear you. I didn't want to interrupt your hating.
No, I'm just joking. Matt meant it.
Gary, what are your final thoughts?
I'm gonna
the world
write a biography of George Steinbrenner's 2 kids who now have the Yankees as the richest franchise in baseball. It's gonna be called Relentless.
You call it Unrelenting?
Unrelenting.
Yeah, you don't want to
how the Steinbrenner sons made the Yankees the richest franchise in baseball. Follow me on all forms of social media at 3D Boxing, 3D Boxing blog, from Texas to the world. Thank you, and God bless.
Yeah, fuck the police, defund the police. State violence should be met equally. Let's get that going. Definitely,
be relentless.
It's been a crazy fucking time. I would say that everyone should, if you care about Black Lives Matter, you care about the movement, you care about equity and human values, educate yourself on Malcolm X, Lorraine Hansberry,
Angela Davis.
There's a lot of stuff on my Instagram. I've been putting a lot of Black voices from the civil rights movement, because in this country we're taught to view all civil rights movements through the eyes of, the Kennedy brothers and Martin Luther King and people who make, I think, us as white people feel less bad about ourselves. So, let's get a real thing going here. We got a moment here in this country, I think, where we can really make some shit happen, and let's get after it.
Yo, Rob, you're awful for that comment in the chat right now. Okay, I just want to point that out. But you guys have a great day, great evening, great night, wherever you are. Peace.
Peace.